Before nylon tarps, synthetic laminates, and crinkling plastic sheets, armies faced a brutal reality. Shelter had to work in freezing rain, wet snow, and constant wind, and it had to do so quietly, repeatedly, and without tearing apart. During World War II, one simple fabric sheet proved so reliable that soldiers trusted it with their lives across Europe and the Pacific. It was not high-tech by modern standards, yet it consistently outperformed tarps in conditions where failure meant exposure, illness, or death. This was the military shelter, half made from tightly woven cotton duck, treated with waxes and oils in a way modern materials still struggle to replicate. Early synthetic and rubberized sheets existed before and during the war, but they had serious flaws. They cracked in cold weather, became stiff and noisy, and failed suddenly under stress. Cotton duck fabric, by contrast, remained flexible in freezing temperatures and could be repaired in the field. World War II planners needed a material that would not betray soldiers at night with sound, shine, or catastrophic tearing. Wax-treated cotton proved superior, not because it was waterproof in the modern sense, but because it managed moisture intelligently. The standard World War II shelter half was made from heavy cotton duck, woven tightly enough to slow water penetration even before treatment. The fabric was then impregnated with a mixture of waxes, oils, and sometimes aluminum salts, depending on the nation and year of production. This treatment filled the microscopic gaps between fibres without sealing them completely. Rain and snow beaded and ran off, while internal moisture could still migrate outward slowly. This balance prevented the internal condensation that plagues plastic tarps. Tarps fail in cold conditions because water freezes on the surface, turning flexible plastic into rigid plates that crack under movement. World War II fabric sheets absorbed just enough surface moisture to prevent ice sheeting while remaining pliable. Snow could be shaken off rather than scraped away. In freezing rain, the wax surface resisted saturation long enough for precipitation to slide away before freezing. Soldiers reported sleeping through storms that would have turned plastic sheets into frozen boards. Each fabric sheet was not meant to stand alone. Two or more could be buttoned together using reinforced edges and metal grommets. This allowed soldiers to form lean-tos, A-frames, or low-profile snow shelters. You know, buttons were actually quieter and more reliable than modern snaps or zippers, especially in those freezing conditions. When combined properly, the fabric layers made overlapping seams that, directed water away from the sleeping area instead of letting it drip through. Veteran accounts and training manuals, they really show a consistent approach. The shelter half was always pitched low, never tall. Height, you see, invited wind and drove rain underneath. One edge was anchored close to the ground on the windward side, while the opposite side was just raised enough for entry. In snowy conditions, the lower edge was, buried just a bit to help seal out any drafts. This approach, you see, transformed the fabric into a proper weather-shedding surface, not just a loose cover, something that ordinary tarps, quite frankly, often fail to achieve. Plastic tarps, on the other hand, tend to trap moisture. All that body heat condenses into water droplets, which then soak your clothing and bedding from the inside. The World War II fabric sheet sidestepped this problem by allowing vapour to escape slowly. Soldiers, they actually stayed drier over long periods, even if, the fabric itself felt damp to the touch. This, in turn, reduced trench foot respiratory illness and those nasty frost-related injuries. These days, survivalists and historians can in fact recreate this performance using modern waxed canvas or untreated cotton duck that's treated with beeswax and linseed oil blends. The key, really, is even saturation and low heat absorption, not just a simple surface coating. Oh, and the fabric should remain flexible, especially in those cold conditions. When pitching, the same World War II principles still apply. Low profile, angled surfaces and overlapping seams. This approach really works for winter camping emergency shelters and those long-term outdoor setups where, noise and durability actually matter. The shelter half succeeded because it treated shelter as a system, not just a sheet. Fabric treatment, pitch angle, and airflow all work together. Tarps are quite often deployed as quick covers, but that usually means ignoring airflow and condensation. The World War II fabric sheet, on the other hand, demanded skill, but it rewarded that skill with real reliability. It didn't fail suddenly. Instead, it aged predictably. It could be repaired with just a needle and thread. And, that made it dependable in a way that disposable materials simply are not. After the war, manufacturing really started to favour speed and cost, rather than longevity. Plastic tarps became the go-to choice since they were cheap, lightweight, and didn't require any special training to use. Military doctrine shifted away from long-term static shelter. Yet the environments did not change. Rain, snow, and cold still punish poor material choices. The World War II fabric sheet remains relevant because the problems it solved never disappeared. Understanding this fabric is not about nostalgia. It is about recognizing that effective shelter depends on material behavior, not marketing claims. The soldiers who relied on these sheets understood that deeply, and their experience still offers practical guidance today. If this exploration of wartime fieldcraft added value to your understanding of history and survival knowledge, support in the beginning by subscribing, sharing this episode, and helping keep serious practical history alive.